It was unofficially reported that the only two training camps that Damian Lillard wants to report to is going to be either Portland or Miami. This was an unofficial statement that was put out, and just from initial reaction to that, it's pretty clear where he wants to go, which is Miami. And it's also pretty clear where he doesn't want to go, which is absolutely anywhere else in the league. After this came out, the NBA released a memo that was sent to all the teams, and it pretty much said that if either Damian Lillard or his agent publicly talk about something like this, where, Lillard isn't going to perform his duties, aka he doesn't go to training camp, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, he kind of just sits back and holds out, then there will be punishment involved. And I understand why they would release something like that too, because, in the NBA, ideally, how things are supposed to be is once you're signed to a contract, then that's your team. And if you're traded, then you have a new team. But that's really the entirety of it. These players are supposed to be like chess pieces where wherever you are signed, you play your best, and if it's a team that you don't really want to go to, too bad. You still go there and you still play your best. And whenever these statements come out where, either players or their agents are publicly talking about like, oh, if my player goes to this team, then he's not going to show up to camp, so don't sign him. These things kind of detract other teams from wanting to make offers, and overall that kind of just messes up the flow of free agency. So I understand why the NBA released that memo. And so once that memo was released, pretty much saying that, Lillard would be punished if he talks about things like this, then, their original statement was retracted. So I don't know if it was his agent who said it or whoever, but they pulled back that statement. But of course they did, right? Because nobody wants to be punished. But at the same time, it already went public the first time around. And we already know the truth now, whether it's an official statement or not. We kind of already know that he's very heavily leaning towards Miami and no other team at all. Because it wasn't like an official thing that was published, it still has to be considered a rumor at this point. But even then, if he was traded to any team, I personally think that he would show up to training camp. I don't see Lillard as somebody that's gonna sit back, cross his arms and sit in the corner, not get dressed for a workout. I don't see him doing that kind of stuff. And so my personal opinion on this is that while he does heavily favorite Miami, I think wherever he ends up, I feel like he's still going to show up to training camp, and I feel like he's still going to try his best when it comes to like the regular season and whatnot. But the thought does come up, that he didn't just wake up randomly, and he didn't just now decide that he wants to play for Miami. Chances are he's had this thought for some time now, and considering how many Damian Lillard rumors have been surfacing over years and years now, it's pretty likely that he's always had the thought of leaving Portland. And so my question is, why would he sign all those extensions that he did with the team? Because that doesn't help him when he wants to leave. Clearly right now, Portland doesn't want to let him go. But if he wanted to go so bad, then why does he keep signing these massive extensions? At this point, he has 4 years left, I think, on his contract. He's owed over $200 million. And after this most recent contract extension, he doesn't get to be a free agent up until the year 2027. And he's going to be, I think, age 37 or 38 at that time. And up until then, he has no freedom because he kept signing these contracts. He is really just at the mercy of his team if they decide to trade him. And if not, then, he has to just suck it up and do whatever they say. And if they don't trade him, then he has to suck it up and deal with that as well. Part of me does understand why he signed all these deals because, that's a whole lot of money. I think his very last year in the contract, I'm pretty sure he's making over $60 million in that very last year. And even before that, he's getting a fat check every single year. And so I understand, he got paid, but at what cost? I understand that a lot of people, a lot of players are doing this for the money. And if so, I can't judge them, right? Good for you. But if Lillard did it for the money, then why is he complaining so much about wanting to leave? And if he wanted to leave so bad, then why did he continue to sign extensions? That part is just something that I can't wrap my mind around, At this point, he doesn't have any freedom, and it makes it hard for him to play anywhere that he wants, just because of all these restrictions and whatnot. And, because he's on such a massive contract right now, and say if Miami did want him too, then Miami would have to make such big sacrifices for him, and it makes you wonder, who is Miami going to give up at that point? Which players can they trade to Portland, and how many picks are they going to have to send that way too? It just becomes such a big investment. They would have to send maybe 2 players, maybe so many draft picks, and maybe a lot of money too, just to make up for that gap. It just becomes such a big investment for Miami, and you're left wondering, what's Miami even going to do about the situation? And then also, are they prepared to pay him $200+ million up until the year 2027? So, lots to think about, especially for Miami, or really any team that desperately wants him. Are they willing to reach in their pockets and pay him that much? Because it's a big amount. I don't know. I think his story has just been dragging on for a while now. It's been dragging on for a little bit too long, if I'm being honest. And also the thought comes up, what if nothing happens? This isn't the first year where his trade rumors have come up and where he's kind of hinted at, I don't want to be here. And so what if nothing happens again? What if he stays with Portland again? What if nothing different happens? One entire season down the drain again with him playing for Portland. No trade, no nothing. That would be unfortunate, but that's also a very realistic possibility, right? If they don't trade him, then that's his future. One more season with the same freaking team. And so, there's so many directions that this could go. His story, I feel like for years, has just been always coming up. He always is the biggest topic of conversation, but it always ends up with him returning to Portland. And so I don't even know if this is the year that something changes. I have my doubts just because nothing has happened in the past. And so I would say a majority of me thinks that he's going to at least start off with Portland. And if I'm being honest, he might even stay the whole season with Portland. But those are my thoughts. Let me know if you have any hope for him leaving. Let me know if you have any hope for him being in Miami where he wants to be. And if it's not Miami, then, what are some other teams that could realistically sign him, and teams that also have the cap space to afford a player like him. So yeah, let me know what you think. And that's all I have for today, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.